So I was thinking about what animal I could keep next. Something unusual, something magical. So I asked my girlfriend, if you could have any animal, what would it be? She said a snake, and I'm super afraid of them. And then she said a raven, but I don't know if a raven gets along well with cats. And the last thing she said was a unicorn. And that got me thinking. So I started the Google search and immediately found 2 unicorns for sale, but they were quite expensive. And then I found whatever that is. After a long search I finally found this. 2 centimeters. That's actually quite small. They love to decompose leaves. Weird. Anyway, the price was quite good, so I got them. And then it was time to build the Macodes terrarium. To get the scale right, I grabbed a piece of cardboard and marked out the exact length and width of the terrarium. And as it turns out, these unicorns are super tiny. No wonder no one sees one in centuries. If these unicorns were going to live here, they need a kingdom worthy of legend. Something right off a storybook. To build the heart of this tiny enchanted forest I'm planning to build, I'm starting with Dragon Wood. And if that's not magical enough, I'm adding twisted roots of Spiderwood later. Together they will become an ancient tree stump, the perfect home for our tiny unicorns. Now it's time to make this vision stick. I'm using a bit of super glue and some toilet paper to quickly build a strong, almost magical framework. This lets me shape the stump exactly how I imagined it. Later I will sprinkle some sawdust to hide the glue spots. After repeating this little ritual over and over, layering and shaping, I finally stepped back and smiled. The stump looked just like I imagined. Ancient and full of tiny nooks and crevices. Ready to become a home for our tiny unicorns. Now that the stump fits perfectly, it's time to add the base. I'm using Subulina's Terrarium mix, a nutrient-rich, peat-free soil that keeps plants happy and healthy. Check the link in the description if you want to try it for your own projects. Now the stump goes back in. And wow, it looks even better than I imagined. The textures, the angles, it's starting to feel like a tiny enchanted forest, right in my terrarium. Even Mocha seemed to approve. She couldn't stop checking out the terrarium. Next, it's time to add the first plant. These tiny jewel orchids, already pre-grown in a little jar. Their leaves glimmer like tiny jewels, with delicate textures and rich colors. Perfect for our fairytale forest. I put the little jewel orchids between the wood, so it feels like they've been growing there forever. But something was still missing. A few carefully placed stones to complete the fairytale look. Now it's time for some moss, cause nothing says ancient enchanted forest quite like it. Soon it will cover the wooden stones, making everything look even more magical. I can already imagine the tiny unicorns running around here. I added 3 more creeping plants to the scape, small details that add life and texture without blocking the view. Every corner of this tiny forest is starting to feel alive. Then, the doorbell rang. Could it be? As I rushed to get the package, Vildana sneaked in something to the terrarium. But what was she up to? As suspected, the package with the unicorns arrived. So it was time to open it. Inside I found a tiny plastic container, filled with something that looked like toilet paper. Where are the unicorns? They must be hiding inside. And wait, what's that in the middle of the terrarium? A little crystal. Vildana must have sneaked that in. She's all about magic and witchy vibes. So maybe it's some kind of energy booster for our unicorns? Anyway, I see tiny little horns, but where's the rest of the unicorn? No legs, no hooves, just horns? But wait.
Hello!
They don't look at all like the unicorns I imagined. I mean, I'm not an expert, but shouldn't unicorns have legs? And you know, all the usual stuff? Okay, so this little guy looks kind of magical, but also a little slimy if you ask me. I needed an expert opinion. So, where do you find a unicorn expert? I asked ChatGPT, sent the picture and... oh, Oh no. Apparently it's not a magical creature straight out of a fairy tale.
Hey!
It's a snail. But hey, the little house it carries, definitely horn-shaped. I couldn't believe my mistake. How could I be so dumb? But you know what? I'm kinda happy about it. Tiny snails living in our fairy tale forest? Close enough, right? A week had passed since I released the snails into their enchanted forest. And of course, I couldn't tell Verdana about my little mistake. I just told her that unicorns are usually a bit shy at first. And apparently the same goes for snails. Because when I looked into the terrarium, not a single one was inside. And I haven't seen them for a week. So it was time to take a closer look. But where could they be? No sign of them. Not on the wood, not on the crystal, not even on the plants. But wait, weren't there more orchid leaves at the beginning? And what's that hole in the middle of this one? Oh no. The snails must have eaten it. So at least I knew they were alive. But still, where are they hiding? I had heard these unicorn snails are most active in the dark hours. So I shut the curtains. Lit a few candles and thought, why not make it extra cozy and magical? And maybe even add a little mist. After all, if your name is Unicorn Snail, you deserve the proper enchanted atmosphere. And then, finally, movement. Out of the shadows, a tiny horn appeared. And where did it go? Straight toward the crystal, almost as if it was drawn to its magic. I couldn't believe it. After a whole week of waiting, the unicorn snails had finally made their appearance. Slimy? Yes. Majestic? Also yes. So the mystery was solved. The unicorn snails were alive, and they clearly had a very exclusive taste. Orchids. A little too much taste, if you ask me. The poor leaves didn't stand a chance. I figured maybe they were just extra hungry. So I offered them a tiny slice of banana. But it looks like I'll need to rethink the planting. Maybe swap the orchids for something they don't like as much. Like maybe Buce or Anubias. We'll see. Cause this little enchanted forest might need some adjustments. I also spotted something really cool. A few tiny baby unicorn snails wandering around the crystal. Maybe this stone isn't just magical. Maybe it's also good for fertility? Looks like the crystal is already working its magic.